Today on the 1012 Softball Show, myself and Lea welcome Kenzie Fowler, Arizona legend, to talk about Arizona and recap last weekend. Then our good friend Eric Lopez joins us to preview one of the final 2 weeks of the regular season in the Big 12, a big one for a number of teams. And of course, our guest this week, BYU's Lily Owens, talks about BYU's massive comeback wins and their series sweep of rival Utah. Coming up on the 1012.
Llévate más de lo que esperas todos los días con el nuevo McValue en McDonald's. Ahora puedes comprar uno y sumarle otro por $1. Así que cuando tu equipo favorito enfrente a sus rivales, enfrenta tus antojos con $5 Meal Deals. Y si estás corriendo para alcanzar el desayuno, corre a la para llevarte ofertas antes del cutoff. Tú decides, y con McValue, tu decisión siempre rinde más. Precios y participación pueden variar. BOGO $1 válido para un producto de igual o menor valor. Debe estar registrado en Rewards para ofertas en el app.
There are people out there all across the country pushing boundaries to grow the game of golf. Like champion speed golfer Lauren Cupp, who plays faster than anyone else. And Will Lowry, whose work in the golf community inspires more kids to get into the game. As a champion partner of the Masters, Bank of America supports everyone determined to find out what's possible. In golf and in life. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Bank of America N.A. member FDIC, copyright 2025, Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
Welcome to the 1012 Softball Show. We are here to talk Big 12 softball because that's what we do on Thursdays. We are part of the 1012 Podcast Network. And of course, we are partners of Sports Social, Europe's biggest sports podcast network. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday. Joining me as she does every week. Let me see if I can remember her full list of titles that we have for her now. We have Trash Talk Queen of the 1012 Network. We have the most famous Iowa State softball alum. We have the Quad City Queen. We've got the mother of the Cycloneers. She is Lea Nelson.
Woohoo! Thank you.
You're welcome.
Paige might be, the bigger trash talker now per Iowa State sources, but we'll see.
That includes guests on this podcast who say, giving you a run for your money. And joining us today for her first appearance here on the show, she is an Arizona softball legend. Sorry, Lea. I think she trumps you as far as...
No, she definitely does. She's the better 19 for sure.
Famous softball alum. She is Kenzie Fowler. Kenzie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Lea, you were 19 as well?
Yep, I was. And I was looking at your Twitter and I was like, oh man, yeah, she definitely reps the 19 well.
That's awesome. Did you grow up wearing number 19 or did you have that just be your college number?
No, I grew up being all different numbers. Then I got to college and 19 was open. I was like, okay, I'll make it my own. And I don't think anyone had worn that for a while with like the New Jerseys. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm 19. And then I got kind of attached to it and I never wanted it to ever go away.
That's so similar to myself. I was number 13 growing up. Like for every sport, it had to be 13. But of course, 13 is retired from Nancy Evans. So same thing, saw 19 was open, thought it sounded kind of similar and ended up loving it even more. I was like, 19 is my identity now. This is what it's about.
Yes, exactly. It's like I had this, the coaches gave me an opportunity to change because the number I wanted was opened up. I'm like, no, now I have to be 19. Like there's no other way. So I love that.
Yeah. You don't want these iconic numbers, right? You want to find something that's very niche. And so 19 is a slept on number.
I agree. Yep.
Anyway, nice to meet you, Phillip and Lea, and thanks for having me.
Okay, so hold on before we dive in. Leah's kind of teased this a little bit or mentioned this, but Kenzie, basically your number becomes your identity. That's so interesting to me because having not played sports outside of being very young and not really caring what number I had when I played first grade soccer, kind of for those who don't understand how big is your number to you?
It's huge. It's what you're repping, right? It's your team on the front. And some schools do have their number on the front, just depend on the uniform and the whole deal there and the design. But you think about what you're repping. It's your team and your number. So like that is who you're representing, and it is yourself. And when you sign your autographs, like that is such a huge part. It's your name and your number. And even now when I'll sign some autographs every now and then, not as many as we used to, because once you graduate, let's be honest, that autograph kind of, the value goes down a little bit. But, we do sign some post-graduation autographs, and I'm like, I got to make sure I'm signing it with my maiden name and my jersey number. Like, let's be very clear. This is my autograph for the softball. It is a very different autograph when I'm writing my bills and turning in my taxes. So, it is all about the number. We love that. We love that.
I now imagine Lea fills out a check, says Lea Nelson 19. Here you go.
Imagine.
Duh. That's how everyone No. What's funny is I wanted to be 22, and this was before the whole like Caitlin Clark saga. But like now I'm kind of glad, because I think even though I'm older than her, I think people would have been like, oh, 22 like Caitlin Clark. But now it's like, oh, 19, like, there isn't a tie to it. Even though I would have been honored to wear 22, but 19's like my thing, which feels good.
Exactly. Love it.
There you go. All right. So first of all, again, thank you for joining us tonight, Kenzie. We're going to recap what happened last weekend in the Big 12. Let's start with the series of the weekend last weekend. That is Texas Tech going in to Arizona, taking 2 of 3 from Arizona. Kenzie, I want to get your thoughts first off. It was an incredible series. Obviously, Texas Tech gets the run rule in game 2, but I mean, game 1 and 3 were hard-fought series. They split the 2, and it feels like anymore when you get 2 good teams, you're going to have a situation where you'd love to see 3 close games, but oftentimes you're going to have 2 close games and 1 game that seems to get away from one of the teams. It seems to be what happens. But what was your takeaways from the Arizona side of things after this weekend?
Oh, my takeaway is that Devin Nets, Arizona will go as far as Devin Nets takes them, because you saw the separation between the games that she did not pitch in. It is glaringly obvious. When she is in the circle, Arizona competes, and they're different. Obviously, she's in the lineup. She's in the 4-hole and plays first base. But when she's not in the circle, it was a different feel at the ballpark. I was there for all 3 games, so kind of got to sit and take it in. It was I was off this week and I didn't have any games to call, which was very rare. And so I was like, man, I'm really just going to take this opportunity to be a fan. And obviously, Nyjah Kennedy, I am such a fan. So I'm like sitting front row, really feeling the heat, wanted to see her spin. And I got to see a lot of that. So she is the real deal. We knew this. We've been known. So I think Texas Tech flexed, obviously. Like they showed, in my opinion, what they should have been doing this entire season. I mean, anytime she pitches, I think that Texas Tech should win, because she, in my opinion, is still the best pitcher in the country. Even with the rise of some others, I am still putting all money down on Nyjah Kennedy every time. And she just threw lights out this weekend. But as far as for Arizona, they competed against her, which that was really impressive to see. I think we were all watching their at-bats on Sunday, and they made it really tough on her. And batting against her is not an easy thing to do. She's throwing mid-70s with the most movement that you will ever see from someone that throws that hard. And she was starting to work her curve a little bit more on Sunday. But credit Arizona, their at-bats were long. There were a lot of full counts. Even the contact when they were out was hard. So I liked to see that from Arizona. That was really nice. And then obviously just the Devin, she's the X factor.
Yeah, look, we said on the show, like, to us, she's Big 12 Player of the Year because of what she's been able to do both in the circle and as well as in the box. Like, she's been incredible for Arizona. And I don't feel like coming into the year we would have picked Devin Nets to be the most important player on that roster, and certainly not the most important pitcher on that roster. But I mean, she's really taken that mantle and is. I mean, you look at, I think, Arizona, Oklahoma State, Arizona State, where it's like you've got one girl in the circle who you are going to rely on, and they're going to take you as far as they can, and then you just kind of hope that the rest of the pitching staff can kind of get you some innings that'll get you to wins.
Yep.
I did not expect it to be Devin Netz for Arizona coming into the year, but I mean, what she has done this year has been incredible for Arizona so far.
100%. And coming off of an injury, you just don't know how any player is going to respond. And, it's a little unique. She's coming back for 1 year versus, if you see a player maybe having an injury after a sophomore season. So, she's older in terms of just her collegiate career. And yeah, there's a lot of unknowns. And, I think about how talented Arizona's team was last year going to the Supers, what could have been that team with Devin, but you just never know. Like it's every year is completely different. She needed a year to heal her back. And, it was the smart choice. I always talk about like when you have 4 years to play, right? 5 if you do the red shirt, and you want to make sure that you are feeling your best when you take your cleats off for the final time. And like, I completely emptied the tank. I made all the right decisions. The competition was what the competition was, but like I gave it all. And so I think that's where Devin was when she made the decision to redshirt, to make sure that she exited her collegiate career feeling better, because she was not feeling well last year at all. And she was trying to figure out what she was going to do. And so ultimately you come back, she's feeling good. Obviously, Arizona's very lucky for that. And from here on out, it's just about her management. And that's going to go for any team. That's going to go for Ruby Malin. That's going to go for Nigeri Kennedy. But what's different about Arizona is that they have the luxury of being very solid in the NCAA tournament and very solid as a regional host, whereas Oklahoma State and Texas Tech are on bubbles of not the NCAA tournament, we know that,
right?
But to host, right. So that's the difference between Arizona and Texas Tech and rolling into May, is that they have the luxury to possibly rest her, because obviously you want to get the wins. But if there's a loss that happens, in my opinion, looking at everything, I don't think it's going to dip them at all. They've put in, the resume is solid. They're going to be a lock for a regional host. So how healthy and rested and ready to go will Devin Netz be come the first week of the regional tournament, which should be in Tucson for Arizona?
Yeah, they're hosting. They're going to host, and with just one weekend of Big 12 play left, they're out of conference this weekend. They've got a couple of games against San Diego State, if I recall correctly, which should be good for the resume. How many
pitchers can get in and get some valuable reps? Like if you want to be that number 2, come regionals, come supers, now is your time to shine. Is it going to be Miranda Stoddard? Is it going to be Saya Swain? Those are the 2 other seniors who have had some ups and downs throughout the season, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw those arms and not a lot of Devin Netz in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Another series we're going to talk about, of course, Coach Pinkerton winning his 200th game at Iowa State this weekend. The wins just keep racking up. The historic season for Iowa State softball in the Big 12. 11 wins now. The old records, it's blown out of the water now completely and totally. It used to be 8, now we're at 11. The turnaround is great. I don't know if we can sit here and feel great about postseason unless they really make a run in the Big 12 tournament with not a lot of opportunity left. But you hated to see them drop that game on Sunday against Kansas. But man, the fact that they were able to come back in one of those games, get that win, take this series, and even this week, surviving to some extent. Doubleheader against South Dakota State on Monday, getting the win at UNI on Tuesday, a team that, in-state stuff is funny.
Right.
I mean, you're at this point, Iowa State's doing everything they can, to me, to keep continuing to build wins, hopefully build the resume, and maybe put themselves in a spot for a potential at-large when it comes to Selection Sunday.
Yeah. Shout out Coach Pink, first of all. 200 wins, that's huge. It's really exciting. But yeah, historic season for Iowa State. It's literally insane when you see it on paper because there's so many new girls, couple transfers, which we all know, we've talked about, like that hasn't really been Coach Pink's thing. A lot of freshmen. And it's not like 1 or 2 girls. Like, yes, Sydney Malott had an insane week, but like now you look this week, it's Tatum Johnson, it's Carly Ford. We're just seeing incredible bats up and down the lineup from anyone and everyone, and even like pinch hitters. So it's exciting to see everything come together. All three facets are working really well. Pitching's been great. That's the one thing I texted this to you, Phillip and Eric, that makes me a little anxious because obviously Lauren Skirman and Jaden Ralston has been doing the heavy lifting for many of these games. And we've seen other pitchers come in and they've just been struggling a little bit. And it gets exhausting, especially with how many midweek games Iowa State still has and how many games they have left. And then, like you mentioned, they have to do really well in the Big 12 tournament to keep in the conversation of being in postseason. So it's a little nerve-wracking, but they're playing some fun softball. Iowa State fans are having a blast watching. Like, it is just great because even if they're down or even if it's tied, Iowa State has been coming out on top, which hasn't always been the case. So it's been a really fun season for everyone.
Yeah, I would say so. Tough season for Kansas continues. Hate to see it, but look.
Yeah.
Someone has to lose the games, and it's unfortunate for them that it's been Kansas so far. So I hate.
They put up a good fight, though.
They did. Again, Iowa State trailed in every single game.
Right.
But we're able to find the way to get 2 wins, which they needed. And frankly, for the Big 12 overall, they needed it. Speaking of comebacks, Lily Owens of BYU is our guest on the show. She'll be coming up here in a little bit. Obviously, BYU. Good grief if you didn't stay up for Thursday and Friday night's games to watch them mount absolutely insane 7th inning comebacks against Utah in 2 straight games. I did. I was like, no, these games are over. I tweeted out, I was like, BYU's not coming back again. And literally, Eric goes, BYU? And I go back and look and I go, well, so much for that. I opened my big mouth too soon. That's what I get at BYU fans going, you check the score. I'm like, I am. I'm sorry. Ridiculous Thursday and Friday comeback. Friday night, putting up 9 runs in the bottom of the 7th to walk it off. Just insane. BYU gets the series sweep over their hated in-state rival in our first Big 12 holy war in softball. Kenzie, I think you've had enough time to see plenty of BYU and Utah. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I saw the game.
Oh,
yep,
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so what were your thoughts on just, to do it once is insane. To do it 2 nights in a row, I craziest thing I've seen as a fan of softball.
I have seen crazier, believe it or not. And Utah was actually involved. It was a couple of years ago with Utah, and I was actually calling the game. It was at Arizona State, and I believe they came back, and it was either 7 or 9 runs in the 7th and 1. So yes, I have seen crazier.
Oh man.
Doesn't mean it's not fun to watch. It was crazy. Well, I also had my rule book out on the dinner table while that game was going on because I couldn't understand what had happened at the end of the game. And whether BYU or Utah won, I didn't care. I just wanted to know what the rule was because the winning run, the runner, so the batter runner, didn't touch first base. And so the bases were loaded. And I can't remember who hit it, but there was a girl at third and she limped home. It was a whole thing because they couldn't pinch run for her again. And so she barely limps home, but the ball's in center field. And the girl who hit the winning RBI did not touch first base and starts celebrating. Goes halfway, jumps up and down, turns around, starts running back to her team. And I'm watching this going, wait a minute, she didn't touch first base. Where's my rule book? And so while I'm going to scramble and dig in my purse and find my rule book, you see Amy Hogue, for the head coach for Utah, come out and talk to the umpires, like, what's going on here? She didn't touch first base. They went to, the corner to do their review and, the powwow and talk about it. And so they came back. By the time they came back, I had found it in the rule book. And so the batter was out, but because there were no outs in the inning, the run still scored. So had that happened with 2 outs, we would have gone to another extra inning. So lesson learned for any young ears out there listening, there is no reason we should never not touch first base, right? You hit it, we're pumped. You can be pumped and still sprint to first and then, hightail it to your teammates. So just maybe a little learning moment for BYU. They were very lucky that there were no outs, because can you imagine if that would have been back?
Oh.
So yes, I did watch, and I was like geeking out, because whenever there's a rule, and we all watch softball, and how many times they're like, I've never seen that before. I've never seen that before. And it happens weekly, monthly. So I'm sitting here going, what is the rule on this? What would I be saying right now if I was an analyst? And so that's the second comeback wasn't anything dramatic like that. It was just like, the regular comeback. So not the rule book at the dinner table type of thing.
That's insane. Wait, do you just run around with the softball rule book in your purse at all times?
I love it. I love it.
I'm literally at my dinner table, and it's right here. So,
just some light reading.
Yeah, I can find it for you guys maybe here in a second. But anyway, yeah. Is that Eric Lopez that just comes in?
I saw Eric just hopped in.
I thought I was supposed to be like his sub or something.
You were, and then what he was going to do fell through, and so now.
Oh, great. He can take over, and I can go have dinner.
Okay. Well,
no, you're the star. You're the star of this one.
No.
I'm still trying to figure out how my team just came back from an 11-0 deficit to win 14-13.
Yeah, that was insane. I was following along. That was insane.
Against Stetson?
Whoa.
Yes, they were down 11-0 in the first inning. They were down 13-8 in the top of the seventh. They were one strike away from losing, and they came back and won. And I don't drink, but I might start drinking.
That's crazy.
Well, they probably had like your bracketology pinned up in their dugout, and were like, "We cannot lose this game."
That's correct. That's very fair. That's very fair.
They were taking that to the at bats.
But I know I will defer to Kenzie. I just like to listen because I'm in a shockingly good mood. And, I will just contribute at the bare minimum. I'm just happy that you're here, Kenzie. I miss you anyway.
Thanks for crashing.
Yeah, he was like, I'm free now. I'm like, well, all right. We'll get Kenzie for the first half, and then we'll Eric pop in to do the previews for next weekend. And he kept trying to get in, and I was like, all right, well, I feel like he's going to think I'm ignoring him on purpose, so we'll just let him
well, you were.
hop in. I mean, I
all
was.
Right.
But...
Text me when you're done. I'll listen back on the replay.
Well, since you're here, no, it's okay. Since you're here, we can talk Oklahoma State UCF. Oklahoma State gets the series win over UCF. Speaking of rule books, Coach Gajewski gets thrown out of the game on Saturday. He has talked about in interviews since the game, saying like he was telling people like I'm about to get thrown out. I'm going to get thrown out of this game. Like I'm going to. For the third time this season, the opposing coach has come out and claimed that essentially an ineligible player had made a defensive catch to record an out. And for the second time this season, despite Kenny arguing and saying like, no, I said that player was going to be out there, the refs screwed up. And so an out was negated. It happened against Penn State when they were in Georgia a couple weeks ago. Wichita State tried to make it happen last week in the midweek. And then it successfully happened this weekend because the ump screwed up. And so that's why Gajewski was so mad, because this is the second time it's happened to him when he did what he was supposed to do and the ump screwed up the thing. Now, it didn't hurt Oklahoma State in the end. Oklahoma State got the win. They're able to escape that inning without any runs by UCF. But still, like I can understand why you'd be furious when this is such a weird thing to happen, and it's now happened almost 3 times, but definitely 2.
It was fun to see in person. It was the most dramatic ejection I've ever seen, especially at the complex. And once again, we're all trying to figure out the rule book, and it was bizarre. It's just needless to say. But at least Kenny got his money's worth, and he was right. I defended Kenny on the air. I still defend Kenny. Kenzie, you saw one that's similar that happened between Arizona and UCF. Actually, you weren't out there. But we heard about it. You heard about it. And that
I did hear about it. I was not there.
This is not the first time this has happened in the Big 12, and obviously not the first time this has happened to Kenny either.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
I don't understand how this keeps happening. It's such a it's such a weird thing for the umps to continually get this wrong. I just don't I don't know how. Like at first it was like, okay, Kenny, what are you doing that's allowing this to continue to happen to you in this way? So I don't know where the problem lies. Is it just the umps making a mistake? Is like it's such a weird thing to me to happen of like, I said this person was going out there. No, you didn't. I did. I wrote it right here. Well, I don't. It's so odd to me. It's so odd. I don't get it.
Kenzie, do you think it's a case where there's so much more moves now being made in the sport that the umps are just having a hard time keeping up and making mistakes? Or what do you make of it? You have the rule book. You carry it. You've called it. You played the game. So you tell us.
Yeah, and coaches forget as well. So they'll forget how many. Just because we have the reentry rule, baseball obviously does not have that. So it's very neat and clean. It's obvious when a player is out, they're done. So the reentry rule, gives the chaotic element to our game, which we love. But it's something you talk about all the time. Like I remember growing up, like playing club, it was always like a game for us players to be like, if a girl re-entered, be like, coach, did they put her in the lineup? Right? Like she's like, yeah, no, because when that person comes back up and the result happens that we don't want, coach, like check the lineup. We didn't. And so it's just like always that it's, I don't know, the IQ part of the game. And it's definitely intentional, strategic when players comes up and a coach is just sitting there going, please don't remember to re-enter her right now, please. And then, a double gets hit, like, hey, time. So it's a huge part of our game and the reentry. But yes, you have the flex and the DP, and you have hitters that pitch, and it's fun. I wouldn't want to be writing the lineup and being in charge of that, but from the sidelines, it's chaotic and fun. And hopefully, you just reenter your players.
The same stuff happened with Iowa State and Kansas this weekend too. I don't know if you guys noticed, but Coach Pink. And yeah, it was like a really, really long review.
He was upset. That was.
Yeah. And so they were playing under like protest. So everyone was like confused about that too, because with pitchers that were hitting, that were coming out and then moving to the flex position and then yada, 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 craziness, things that were kind of over my head. But yeah, so Iowa State ended up winning. So at the end of the day, it wasn't like a huge deal, but yeah, it was nutty. It was what, like Kenzie was saying, it was something that I'd never seen before, and it happened, and I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I had a rule book in front of me. But yeah, that's what happened. It was long too.
Oh yeah, it was. I was like, what is? I had the sound off because I have children running around, so just like to make sure I have it on so I can keep track. Then it was like, I don't know what's happening. Shout out to the Iowa State softball social team, whoever's running social there, of no protest needed.
Did you see that?
On the social graphic after they won the game was...
It was unreal. And it was the pitcher who they were, saying wasn't supposed to be in. Oh, chef's kiss. That's what I love.
Sometimes these stories just write themselves. Last series to recap, of course, Arizona State taking 2 of 3 from Baylor. Arizona State not in yet. I mean, they're sitting at 35 in the RPI. They're in a pretty good spot. Baylor down at 54. This was a series Arizona State needed to get, especially after dropping a midweek game to Grand Canyon. It's their second loss to Grand Canyon this season. Really, really would have been good for them to pick that one up. It would have been a great one for their resume. So definitely didn't want to drop a series to Baylor as well. I mean, Arizona State's only got this weekend left. And then the final week of the regular season, they're the team who is off for the Big 12 and they don't have anything. So they've got 3 games left to try and position themselves for the postseason. So from that standpoint of me not wanting my dark horse to fall out of the tournament again for a second straight year, I am glad they were able to get the series win over Baylor. Of course, not that I ever want to root against Baylor because we all know Glenn Moore is Lea Nelson's best friend.
Yes, and somehow they always turn it up, and I'm nervous for Iowa State's last series of the year because that's against Baylor, and I'll be there though. So that might help. I'll cheer extra loud, but it will be crazy. And Baylor's playing well.
They are. Kenzie, before we let you go, I just want your thoughts on this new look Big 12. Arizona now a part of this conference with Arizona State and Utah, and of course the other BYU and Houston and UCF to join the year prior. But obviously, I'm sure you're sad about what has happened to the Pac-12. But just what are your thoughts on the three newest members of the Big 12 conference, and Arizona being one of them?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I feel like I've learned a lot about teams that maybe I wouldn't have followed as closely. Obviously, as an alum of Arizona, I am always tuned into my Wildcats. So watching them at the top, kind of jockey back and forth with Texas Tech felt different, obviously, but also at the same time, you're competing against a pitcher of Nigeria Kennedy, where Arizona was very familiar in competing against her in the Pac. So it's just kind of interesting. You also have Ruby coming over from Washington, so it felt different, yet a lot of familiar pieces, I feel like, this season. I'm very excited for the tournament. I think tournament play opens a lot of things that you don't see in regular season, just because it's one game and let's go. So, I think the top of the Big 12 is very, very strong. I think there's a lot of room for growth for maybe some teams at the bottom of the standings. How that happens, I'm not sure, but you never know with this new era of NIL, this new era of the transfer portal. You can rebuild your rosters very quickly. So to me, it's always just about what schools are willing to invest for their softball programs, because we've seen how teams can flip it very quickly and win a Big 12 regular season championship. Knock on wood for Texas Tech that nothing crazy happens for them this weekend, or else it's locked up. But yeah, I think it's been a good fit for Arizona. If, of course, we were all sad about the Pac-12, but everyone has to fall somewhere. And so I think for Arizona, it's been a nice landing spot for them. They had a really nice schedule in terms of travel, didn't have to go to UCF. UCF had to come to Arizona. Someone's got to take that tough flight, and traveling to Kansas and then traveling to BYU and traveling to Houston. Very doable trips. To me, that's no different than going to Washington or Oregon, or even the Bay Area. So it's been a good, manageable, first season for Arizona, just as an alum, watching as a fan. And I'm excited for the future of the conference. I think there's a lot of room for teams like Arizona State, for UCF. To me, those are the kind of the mid in the standings that really have room for growth, because they have phenomenal coaches and they know exactly where they need to go. And so we're just looking at the teams at the bottom of the standings. Can they kind of bolster up a little bit to bring the overall strength of the conference to the level, a little bit closer to the ACC, a little bit closer, of course, to the SEC.
God, love Arizona's fit in the Big 12. They feel like they feel like a Big 12 school. Like when you the fan bases, the way they are, the way that they are as well rounded as they are, their investment into men's basketball and women's basketball, they feel like a Big 12 school. And I think we've all kind of felt that since it was announced that they were joining. And even before then, we're all like, of all the schools to come over of the Corner Four, that one just felt like a natural fit in this conference. And I think that has held true now that they are here. Look, second best attendance in women's basketball outside of Iowa State. It's just we can sit here and talk about, this is a school that loves all of its sports. It's a school that's got a rowdy and raucous and loyal fan base. I think Arizona's been an absolute perfect fit, and I love having them here in softball with the history that they have, and seeing them healthy this year and kind of live up to expectations, I think has been, the depth of this conference has not been this good in a very long time. And I think in Arizona is just, again, a great fit here in the Big 12.
I have seen that shared sentiment a lot on social. So yes, I think our fans love, of course, we're a men's basketball school, and They have loved the men's basketball slate. And then transitioning over baseball and softball, very competitive, middle to the top of the standings throughout week 1 to where we are right now. So I agree. I think our fans are happy. And I think the reception of Arizona to the Big 12, now that we're almost through a whole calendar year, has been about as good as it could have gone when you're switching and making that big of a move, because it's a huge move. And I think we all just kind of took it for granted because there were so many moving pieces. It was so loud so quickly. So now that we're digesting a year, we're like, dang, that was really a big move. And it went well. Okay, let's go. Year 2, here we go. So, excited to see the rest of the season, how it plays out, and excited for, my homeschool to see a whole nother calendar year and run it back next year.
Fantastic. Kenzie, where can we work? Are you working this weekend? Where can we hear you?
So I am not working this weekend. Sadly, I had to take the week off because my husband is getting inducted into his county Hall of Fame. So we are going to go celebrate him. We met at Arizona. He was a football player. And so he's getting inducted into for his high school accolades. And we're going to go celebrate him this weekend. I'm going to go be a supportive wife, and then we are back on the softball grind, finishing out some ACC next week. And then and then it's postseason, right? Yeah. The conference championships. Yeah. So if I got my calendar right, I will be calling the Sun Belt Championship.
Oh, very nice.
On ESPN2. And then we are into regionals and supers, and away we go. So yeah, we'll be rocking and rolling.
Well, hoping they assign you to Arizona for their regional. That would be...
Hey, put a bug out there. I haven't called an Arizona regional since 2016, so I have been on the road for a minute. Obviously, this will be my first regional as a, non-Pac-12 kind of hat on, because that is the conference that I played in. So who knows where I'm going to go for regionals. I know Elo is always speculating for all the analysts and the broadcasting teams. It's like his own version of bracketology. So we'll see where Eric thinks I'll be slotted.
All right.
We'll see.
Just
I have no idea.
For the record, I have stated to her that I think it's going to be could be Arizona.
Okay.
UCLA, which you've been there as well. You've called regional there. Or if Texas Tech hosts, you get to do what you did last year, which is basically follow Niger. Right?
I have no problem doing any of those.
Okay.
Obviously, when I get to call Nyjah, I'm always geeking out because as a pitcher, how can you not? I'm like, let's go.
But, and I'll say this, because I have Oregon hosting this week. That's another option that could be in play for you as well. Remember, and Ben, for Phillip and Lea, you don't know, when we first started getting Kenzie on the show early on In the Circle podcast, what was your big goal? Was you never been to Jane Sanders? You wanted to go to Jane Sanders. We started a hashtag, Send Kenzie Jane Sanders, and eventually you did get sent there, right?
Yes. So the new stadium had been built, and I hadn't called a game there, and so I was dying to get to the Jane and call a game there, and we manifested, made it happen.
All right. Well, let us know who to tweet at, and and where you want to go.
And we will.
And we'll start being really annoying.
I'm just game for whatever. It's all good. I wherever I go, I'm pumped. Let's rock.
Fantastic.
For the record, selfishly, I want her to come
Kenzie,
to Florida.
thank you so much for joining us
here in person. For the record.
Yeah, but if they send you, Eric, off somewhere else, then that doesn't help us any.
Yeah.
But seriously, Kenzie, thank you so much. You've been great. This has been an absolute joy and pleasure to have you on the show. It will hopefully not be your last appearance, but enjoy celebrating your husband this weekend, and we can't wait to hear you back on the call. Sun Belt Championship, very nice. That's
Fun Belt. Let's go.
That's a good one. Yes, absolutely. All right, Kenzie, thank you so much. Speaking of Arizona, Kenzie, Devin Netz, we got to shout out her. We've talked about her quite a bit, but she got her gold ticket for the AUSL, so she will get to be part of the rookie draft that will come in the month of May. Of course, the inaugural season of the Athletes Unlimited Softball League kicks off on June 7th, and you don't want to miss seeing pro softball players like Devin Netz, as well as former Big 12 players, taking the field this summer across the country, from Chicago to Wichita, Omaha, Lake Charles, Austin, Round Rock, Texas, Salt Lake City, Norman, Oklahoma, all the way up to Seattle. They are games everywhere. They're going to be absolutely fantastic. I cannot wait for this first season. It's going to be great. I still haven't decided if I should have a Bandits hat or a Vaults hat, and if I should be celebrating more Sam Shao or Kilfoyle. I'll figure it out. I will. I promise I will at some point. But if you're going to go, and you should go, you go online to buy your tickets at theausl.com. Use our promo code 1012 TEN12. Get 10% off all single-day tickets. Get your family, get your girls, take them watch some professional softball. It is going to be a great time. I cannot wait to follow this all summer long. So again, go to theausl.com. Find the games in your area, the ones closest to you. When you go buy those single-day tickets, use promo code 1012 TEN12. Get 10% off. Man, I cannot wait. Cannot wait for the season. It's going to be fantastic. Right, hold on one second. Yes, sweetheart.
I need a drink.
You need a drink? Where's your water cup?
I don't know.
Is it in the living room or in the kitchen?
I think so.
Well, go ahead and go get you one. And then go back to bed. I love you.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
We'll leave that in. Okay, we got to preview this upcoming weekend as quickly as we can because I know I've got to get some iPhones set up. No one tell me what's happening with OSU Texas. I'm not even. My phone is in another room. I have as few tabs open as possible. I don't want to know. Let's start with Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's going on the road to Kansas this weekend for a 3-game series. Definitely one of those series where Oklahoma State really wants to avoid a loss if they want to try and host. The list of teams who could potentially host, with Clemson's win against Tennessee, with what Oregon is doing, it's getting long, and it's going to be tough. And you really, this is that time of the year you want to be playing some of your best softball to try and move your way up in the RPI. Oklahoma State cannot afford a loss to Kansas this weekend, and we've talked about this all season long. It's really hard to sweep teams. I have a hard time picking Oklahoma State to do it on the road, but they're going to have to if they want to host. Otherwise, hello, Fayetteville.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it on the head. I would love to pick Oklahoma State to win all 3, but I mean, again, it's so hard to sweep. Kansas is a decent team. Their record might not show it, but they've got a strong offense. I mean, they showed it against Iowa State too, so I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Well, I don't know what Oklahoma State offense is going to show up, and
that too.
Kansas's pitching is good enough to give. The offense has struggled so much this season. I just don't know. I'm picking Oklahoma State to win the series, but to sweep is right. Might be a big ask.
Well, I think we can talk about the offense all we want. The bigger question that I have coming after seeing them this past weekend is who's pitching other than Ruby. Riley Crandall had a rough Friday night. Aycock, give him a few innings there. You've got Coots. That's the part they've got to figure out, regardless of regional hosting or not. Because really, let's be honest, Phillip, even if they hosted, if they don't fix that, it ain't going to matter.
Yeah.
It's going to be a quick out. So they need to figure that out. And I think that's the bigger concern. The offense, it's been strange. I mean, the talent is there. I thought they had some good at-bats against a pretty, UCF. We'll see. You're right. Everything you've said is correct. They're going to have to sweep Kansas and Utah and make a run in the Big 12 championship because, a team like Clemson, you mentioned, beat Tennessee. They got Georgia Tech coming up this weekend. I mean, it's going to be a battle for them to host. And the problem they have is one of the teams in the Big 12 probably going to jump them, I think, at the rate this is going with the team from Texas Tech.
Yep. Speaking of Texas Tech, the resume is just going to keep getting better because they're ending the year with some better Big 12 teams than they had for about 3-4 weeks. They hosting Arizona State. As I mentioned earlier, it's Arizona State's last series of the regular season. They are off next week. It would behoove Arizona State to find a way to steal one of these games. I will be very curious to see how they handle the pitching, and do you willingly sacrifice a game and save Kenzie Brown for Nija's non-start? Because if you're Arizona State, if you get one of these wins, if you get one of these games, I think they set that will be enough for the boost for the RPI. And even just playing Texas Tech, getting one of these, and then make sure you don't lose your first-round game to a bad team in the Big 12 tournament. I think Arizona State's going to feel pretty good heading into Selection Sunday, hearing their name called. And for Texas Tech, like, the regular season's locked up. Like, I know that technically they have to win 2 games of their last 6 to make sure they win the Big 12. They're going to do that. I think this weekend's almost bigger for Arizona State to try and nab one win heading into the postseason.
That's fascinating. I like your theory. I like how you're thinking there about maybe backdooring this with Kenzie Brown, maybe throw in the Saturday game against potentially Chloe Riasetto. What's interesting about that, Megan Bartlett and the staff kind of used Kenzie Brown, I want to say, at every game last weekend against Baylor, even the Sunday game, which told you there was an urgency there to try to get a sweep because they knew what was coming with Texas Tech. For those that may not be aware, Arizona State has no more games after this weekend. Regular season's done. It's the Big 12 championship. So you do have a bye week after this. So that's a fat. Well, you got me thinking there, Phillip. I like your strategy there a little bit. The backdoor that, take a game and lock up a tournament spot, which I think they're in pretty good shape there. But I agree with you. That's not a bad strategy to do it. And listen, worst case scenario, you throw her the second game, and then if you feel you want to, if it doesn't work out or it works out, you try to throw her the third game. Kind of like what Tennessee did. You're taking a page out of the Karen Weekly playbook that she did against Texas when she threw Pickens for an inning, which was weird, pulled her, but then she started her the second and third game and they won the series. So I like that strategy. I would do that.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I think Texas Tech, this is still a big series for them. Forget the Big 12 regular season title. It's about hosting now. It's in their grasp. They cannot put a slip up after the Arizona series win. They need to get, Arizona's a top 35 or top 40 RPI game. BYU's after that's a top 50 RPI series. That's 6 games. If you're Texas Tech, if you can go 5-1, 6-0, man, boy, that's a big statement. Really, I think from what I understand, talking to sources, will get them in a pretty good RPI spot going into the Big 12 championship with the best pitcher in the sport, in the conference, and in my opinion, still the best pitcher in the sport, rolling and put themselves in a position to host for the first time in program history, which is significant from being at home, and also it avoids going to Oklahoma or Texas, which is where Texas Tech would likely have to go if they didn't host.
So are you saying like Texas Tech really needs to sweep Arizona State this weekend?
Every win matters for them, right? Every win matters as they try to hold in that RPI and get in that top 16 host spot. This is the marquee series of the weekend.
Right.
I think, I don't know if, Jerry's interesting. Jerry used Nija all 3 games too in Arizona. I think Jerry's plan is he'll start her in game 1 and 3, but I think she'll close if they have a lead in game 2.
It's so tough because obviously I love seeing Texas Tech do well and I want them to host, but I also am kind of rooting for Phillip's dark horse and I would love to see them come out with a win. This is kind of a tough series because I feel so conflicted, but I don't know.
I can't have dark horses go 0-2. I can't have them get me all excited and then drop the ball literally down the stretch. Iowa State hosting Utah. 3 games. No, on the road at Utah. Oof. You can't drop a game.
No.
The chances for Iowa State postseason berth still remain very slim. Utah's all the way down to 120 in the RPI, 118 at the moment. You can't lose a game. You have to win all 3. And we say this all the time. It's so hard to sweep and to go on the road and do it against a Utah team that is still plucky and still seems to just find ways to lose more often than not. I have a hard time picking Iowa State to sweep. And if they drop one of these to Utah, I think it's done. And the only way they're making the postseason is by winning the Big 12 tournament.
It's so tough. It's so tough. And like this weekend is going to be really, really hard because, I mean, they've got Coach Courtney Martinez on staff at Utah. She was the old Iowa State hitting coach and infield coach. And yes, Iowa State has a very new lineup with lots of freshmen and transfers. She still knows, the way Iowa State plays. And it's a lot of pressure. I know the girls are feeling it. I know Coach Pink loves to talk RPI. So the girls know what's at stake. But a part of me is also like, I feel like if the pressure was getting to them, they would have dropped a midweek game or they wouldn't have been able to finish some of the Kansas games that they did. So I don't know. It's tough. I'm already super nervous about it. But you're right, Phillip. Like they've got to sweep if they really want to continue with the chance at postseason. So yeah, we'll see.
Eric, UCF hosting Houston this weekend. Like I feel fine about UCF. Like they're sitting at 29 in the RPI. Like the postseason is good. Don't drop a game to Houston, and I don't think they will. But again, sweeping's hard. You just had a weird game against Stetson, but yeah.
Yeah, let's. How about we not fall behind 11-0 after one inning? That'd be
good.
That'd be a good start. That's kind of what happened. For those that don't know, that's why I'm in a interesting state of mind in this show because UCF was down 11-0 after the first inning in DeLand. Looked like they were going to get run ruled. Instead, they hit school records for home runs. They hit like back to back to back for the first time. I think they ended up hitting 6 or 7 home runs. Kylie Strott, all year long, has had 2 hits the whole season. Backup catcher. Got brought into the game in a blowout. Ends up hitting 2 home runs in the game, goes 3 for 3. Like, what?
Let's go. I love that.
And then UCF scores 6 runs in the top of the 7th. They were a strike away from losing the game. Scores 6 runs. Ashley Griffin with a 3-run homer go-ahead, and they win it 14-13, the largest comeback in UCF history. And listen, it's the darndest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't drink, but this team, the way it's up and down this year, likely will it certainly has made me consider it at times. But I will not yet. But that's a big win because you're trying to avoid losses like that. Stetson's a scrappy team. So maybe they found themselves here a little bit offensively. I know talking to Izzy Murdes after the Oklahoma State, they swung the bats well against Oklahoma State in game 2 and 3 of that series. So I agree with Phillip. Don't lose the Houston games. If you can just sweep Houston, go 2 out of 3 against Kansas, you're comfortably in the tournament. You're just trying to move up in the seeding in the Big 12 tournament, which I would say the same, by the way, for Iowa State. It's important for them to try to hold on to that top 5 seed, and Utah's a scary place to play in that regard. But yeah, take care of Houston. That's the key now. We'll see how UCF responds from this wild midweek they had.
Arizona has got a couple games against San Diego State. They're out of Big 12 play this weekend. Last Big 12 series is Baylor versus BYU. At the time of recording, BYU is 46th in the RPI. Baylor is 54th.
That's a big series, actually.
Yeah.
Iowa State was in the low 50s, and we talked about this in a few previous episode.
Iowa State 53.
53, okay. This is a big series. We said Baylor and Iowa State if they can make a run, have a shot to be maybe the 6th representative for the Big 12 in the NCAA tournament. Because I did my bracketology, trust me. Number 64, some would argue number 63 is not that strong. So there's spots to be taken. Baylor had an opportunity, lost the series to Arizona State. This is a big one. Can they win at home against BYU? And if you're BYU, somehow, some way, you pulled off some comebacks of your own in that Holy War series. Holy smokes. My goodness. That was insane. How about they don't fall behind big early? That would be my advice to them as well here on the road against Baylor. So I think the loser of this series is basically out as an at-large and is going to have to win the conference tournament. The winner maybe keeps its hopes alive with possibly a strong finish. So it's a big series for both.
Hey, BYU, don't schedule a better non-con. Beacon. I got shout out to the BYU Discord we're in because they're like, hey, thank you for pointing out how bad the non-conference strength schedule is. It's like, well, it is, and it's their own fault. Thank you, everybody who listened. We got Lily Owens of BYU coming up next, so we can talk a little bit about that Baylor series coming up. She's a fantastic interview. Was part of those comebacks. She hit the game winner the Thursday night game in the massive comeback in game 1. Thank you, everybody. I got to go finish setting up some iPhones and ensuring that my middle child is actually in bed asleep. And then I got to pack some bags because we're going to overnight to watch Thunder Memphis game 3 tomorrow night. So, Eric, thanks for hopping in. Lea, as always, we'll learn about what is going on in the Quad Cities next week. I'm sorry. I know everyone's really going to be upset that we're going to miss Quad City events for the weekend, but we're going to have to. So Lily Owens coming up. Don't forget to get your tickets for AUSL. Thanks again to Kenzie Fowler. And we'll talk to y'all again next week.
Uh-oh. The last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
If you didn't stay up late this weekend, I understand. But you missed one of the absolute wildest softball series I've seen in a long time. And our guest today was part of the absolutely momentous results for BYU. Welcome, Lily Owens, to the 1012 Softball Show.
Yeah.
Thrilled to have you today. I mean, one massive comeback win is one thing. 2 in a row in a rivalry series against your hated rivals, Utah. I mean, it's been a couple days, but still, how what was that weekend like? I mean, not just once, but twice to come back from big deficits, have walk-off victories over a rival who you haven't played a conference series against since 2011. I mean, just what was the feeling there in the locker room after this weekend?
Come up with it was just unbelievable and undescribable. Was how it felt all weekend.
I mean, I want to talk about Friday first, because you had the game-winning hit on Friday to get that massive extra innings from behind win. What was the mindset there on Friday? You guys are down big, mount that comeback, tie it up, go to extra innings, and then you walk into the square, walk up to the plate, and hit the game winner. What was your mindset in that moment as you got into the square?
It was honestly really simple. I mean, we work all season on hitting runners in and runners in scoring position and, how to shorten up your swing and what to do in those situations. And in all honesty, it couldn't have been handed almost an easier moment. There was no outs. Bases were loaded. All I had to do is kind of hit it hard somewhere. So they handed me a perfect situation.
But still, that's a lot of pressure there in that moment. But it's just so wild to me. It's not just to do it once. Like you have, kind of times where you can have massive comeback wins, right? Like we see it happen now and then. You don't expect a team to actually pull it off, but you guys in game 1 score 4 in the bottom of the 7th to tie it up, and then of course you hit the game winner, and then on Saturday to be down big again. Utah scores 6 runs at the top of the 7th. They're up 8-1. And you guys score 9 in the bottom of the 7th. To do it once is incredible. To do it 2 games in a row. What was it like on Saturday? To have already been down in that situation once, and now to find yourself, you've just given up 6 runs. At the bottom of the 7th, you got 3 outs. Like, oh no, we've got to do this again. Like, what's that mindset? What are you guys talking about there? And as you're preparing to go and try and come back again.
It was really just, whose house is this? Like, we're going to defend the fort. Like, we're going to put it down right now, and we're going to win this game no matter what it takes. Like, we were not going to lose to Utah. We had fought the entire game. We'd come back. And I think yesterday or the day before had really sparked something in all of us that if we could do it once, we could do it twice. And it was no big deal. And we were all really, really certain that this was nothing crazy for us. We could do it.
Who's the voice in those situations? Is it Coach Eakin? Is it another coach? Is it a player? Like, who's the voice in that situation where you're all standing there like, we've got to go out here and do this? Who's the one leading the charge there on this team?
I think it's a really player-led team. We're really unified. We really play for each other. We've really become sisters, and I think everybody is kind of just like in it to win it together, and we're going to do whatever it takes for one another. And, we're all kind of that voice to just push further and go harder.
That's awesome. I feel like, honestly, like that's a coach's dream, is like, you're going to do, if you've done your job right, you've prepared the team to be able to handle those situations like almost on their own without you to some extent. And I think that's a great sign of a great coach. And I certainly think Gordon Eakin is a fantastic head coach. This is your second year at BYU. First year was freshman season at Lehigh. Your second year with Coach Eakin. What's it like playing for him?
It's awesome. I really have a lot of respect for Coach Eakin. He actually recruited me out of high school. Things just didn't align at the time, and I had to go somewhere else. And the second I entered the transfer portal, he was there waiting for me, and I really couldn't ask for a better coach to play for in my last, 2 years and 3 years, and I massively respect him.
That's great. Hey, it's always interesting. He was the first one to call you when you entered the portal. We the transfer portal being such a big part of college athletics now, and the authenticity of relationships, right? Everyone's got different goals when they enter the portal. Fans want to get mad about, well, they're just in it for the money. But I mean, obviously, everyone has different reasons for why they want to leave one school and go to another. But how much did Coach Eakin and the coaches there at BYU kind of maintain a relationship with you while you were at Lehigh for your freshman season?
I was very, very focused on taking my first year and really making something of myself. I came out of high school a smaller scale player. I wasn't always looked at as the number one recruit for a lot of schools. And my best friend at the time, Ilana Agbayani, who's now at Oklahoma, was really keeping them in the loop with everything that I was doing. So they never really approached me and kept everything very respectful in how it should have gone. But Ilana Agbayani was like my behind the scenes, like, hey, Lily's doing this, Lily's doing that. Like, make sure you're ready. She's going to be in the portal soon.
That's good. It's good to have a cheerleader in your corner. That's fantastic. It's that authenticity is so important when you're looking for a home, right? And especially transfer portal. I'm always curious when you're coming out of high school, there's so many decisions to make. It's such a big decision. What's the difference for you between when you chose Lehigh out of high school versus when you went into the portal and chose BYU? Like, it's obviously very different situations. So what was that transition like for you?
I mean, I was a completely different person coming out of high school, and then after my first year of college, I was able to mature in ways that I never thought were possible, and I saw a lot of things that I wish I would have seen when I was in high school, but I was young, so that kind of was out the window. And I really, really looked for a place where I could call home and a family. That was my biggest goal when I hit the transfer portal. I promised myself, I was like, I'm going to transfer and I'm going to go somewhere that I feel like I have a family and I'm not going to leave. And I'm going to be there for the rest of the 3 years. And when I graduate and I walk across the stage and I get my diploma, I'm going to be proud of where I got my diploma from, my degree. And I'm going to have a great rest of my 3 years. So coming to BYU, they preach family here. They preach togetherness. They preach unity. And the atmosphere is just, it's so amazing. And I wouldn't have picked anywhere else, honestly.
That's great. It's always good to feel like you've truly found home. Look, you're having a great season this year. Career high 397 batting average. What your batting average has increased every single year, but I mean, having a great year so far. What do you credit to your continued development?
Just maturity, honestly. I've just become a lot smarter with the game. Every year I take it and challenge myself, and I tell myself that every year that I've been in college, I've been put in a new role. I haven't really been a leadoff hitter before, and this year I am, and I really challenged myself to be a successful leadoff and be the starter for the team and a spark plug every game. And the results of that are amazing, but I just really have leaned on my teammates to help me get where I am right now.
It's fantastic. We got to talk about the end of last year. You guys are one of the first 4 teams left out. A decision that us here at the 1012 do not agree with still to this day. You're getting close to the end of this season. How much of being left out last year was motivation for the team this year?
It was quite literally our whole focal point in the fall. It was something we talked about constantly. I think the second we were all together last year when we watched the bracketing, and it was just gut-wrenching to hear the last bracket being read out and you're not in it. And it's a feeling that I never want to feel again. And it was a feeling that the rest of the returners didn't want to feel again. So over the summer, we all kind of came together and were like, it's not going to happen to us again. We're going to be there this year. We deserved to be there last year, but that's okay because you just gave us an even bigger reason to be there this year. So we really pushed on that, and we kind of pushed that same work ethic and mindset onto any of the newcomers that came in this year, and they took it and ran as well. With all the freshmen that we have and transfers that we got in this year, they all equally bought in to this plan that we had.
So how much are you guys watching the RPI after each game? How much is Coach Eakin talking about it? How much of that is okay, what is it today? Refresh NCAA website.
Honestly, it's very much just we win, we're going to do well. We win, we're going to go up. We don't personally look at the RPI and stuff like that. I'm sure the coaching staff is heavily, but it's not something that they stress onto us, and it's not something that we stress amongst each other. It's just, we're going to go out there and we're going to kick butt, and that's going to do enough.
Big series against Baylor this weekend. Just a couple series left. You got Baylor this weekend and Texas Tech to close out the regular season before the Big 12 tournament. You guys are going to be heading to Waco this weekend. What's the conversation right now? I know the normal coach speak, game by game, just focus on what you can focus on. But what's the mindset you guys have right now as you prepare for a trip down to Texas?
I think after this past weekend being so electric, we all kind of feel like we could just run through a brick wall right now. Still, I think we're all kind of running on that high a little bit. But there's been talk amongst the returners that last year when we played Baylor, it did not go our way in any of the games. And we feel like we're a lot better of a team this year, and we can really compete with them.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know how you come down from a high like you guys had to have had this past weekend with the way that series. And again, it's not just that you did something that was so incredible twice and then thoroughly beat them in game 3. It's that you did it against the most hated rivalry, in-state rival, Utah. First Holy War in the Big 12 and softball first since 2011. Okay, we talk about Holy War of football, obviously, and it's some of the conversation with basketball. With softball, does it feel like it's as big of a rivalry across every sport as it is portrayed on the football field?
I think so. I mean, we made it out to that in the locker room. We were like, Utah, we're not losing. This is the rival. This is who we want to be. Last year, we played them in an out-of-conference series in a midweek game, and we lost by 1. And that just, fueled the hatred. And that was my first game against Utah. And when I stepped on the field, I was like, I'm going to beat you in every single way possible. And we didn't get to do that last year. So this year, we said, there's no way we're losing.
I love rivalries. I love that Holy War is a conference series in the Big 12. It's so fun for all of us from the outside perspective, and I'm sure it's fun of it being a conference series now. Okay, first of all, Lily, you've been awesome. This has been fantastic. It's great to chat with you. I got a few quick questions before we let you go, just for some fun. We've been asking these for every coach and player we've had on this season. So, number 1, what is your walk-up song?
I have 2. So my first one is The Sweet Escape by Gwen Stefani, and then my second one is Let's Get It Started by the Black Eyed Peas.
Okay. All right. Bring some good energy as you walk out there. Peanut butter and jelly. What is your jelly of choice?
Probably grape. We usually have grape Crustables in the dugout during games, so that's my go-to.
I just say like Crustables. It's really funny how many, like, I'm using air quotes, kids foods. The adults are like, no, children, you go eat that. We're gonna keep Crustables. And have you had Dino Nugs?
Yes, absolutely. I have some in my freezer right now. My roommate all the time.
Yeah, I'm always make a few extra when I make them for the girls, and it's like, you're not gonna eat all these, so I'll finish them off for you. Would you rather? I mean, you have done this, but I'll be curious. Would you rather hit a walk-off or rob a walk-off at the wall?
I got asked this question by our pitcher, Case and Korth, on Saturday. I, at this moment, would rather rob a home run because I've never done it. So I really would like to experience that.
I mean, you've done one, so now you got to get the other one off the checklist, of course. That makes sense. That makes total sense. So NBA playoffs are going on right now. You are a Lakers girl, as I understand correctly. Okay. Are the Lakers going to win this first round series?
Absolutely. Gold and purple, like always, they will win everything.
How far are they going?
All the way.
All the way? Okay.
All the way.
Yeah. Congrats on Luka. I'm sure you're still enjoying that quite a bit. Nothing wrong with being the recipient of one of the worst trades of all time, but you know. Okay. Last one. Who is the biggest trash talker on this team?
It definitely can switch. I'm pretty big with it. Elovea Brittenham also enjoys some of the trash talking. We've gotten in trouble a few times for it this year. Both of us at separate occasions. So we just kind of pass it back and forth on who's feeling it a little bit more that day.
Okay. So here's a question. I've been debating getting some of the players that I've had their names mentioned a couple times on the show to see if we can have a trash talk off. But I'm trying to figure out, like, how you're not in the game, you're not in the moment. Like, how do you get yourself hyped up to really get? What's your method for saying, like, okay, it's me today, and I know what I'm gonna do?
I think it's just more of like in the moment of who's who. But when it comes to like what I'm gonna say, I don't ever have anything like pre-prepared for anybody. It's just kind of I see it, I say it type of thing.
Okay.
So that's kind of how it works.
All right. Good to know. Lily, you have been awesome. Thank you so much. This was fantastic. Good luck to your team for the rest of the season. I fully expect to see your name called when regionals are announced this year. I'm gonna send some very sternly written letters. Fingers crossed, absolutely. So good luck at Waco this weekend. And again, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.